Hi, this is Melissa Ainsley, and this is the 11 Intuitions podcast. I know a lot of vintage true crime podcasts, and as a psychic, I found myself into a little bit of true crime in the past several years. Last weekend, Spirit told me to listen to an audiobook, and it was very interesting. It was called Chasing Evil, about how John Edward, a medium, has been working for well over 25 years with an ex-FBI agent. I'd been told by several people, you need to read this book. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll read it. But it wasn't until Spirit told me, under no uncertain terms, you will listen to it this weekend. I thought, okay. Listening to it was just absolutely incredible. To hear that an FBI agent was working with a medium to help solve cases was amazing. One thing stuck out at me, and I saved it in the audiobook. If you had someone go missing, you would want someone like John Edward helping. And that really just stuck in my heart. Was this a coincidence that I was made to listen to it last weekend? On Monday, I found out why. The case that has broken my heart, kept me up at night, made me get up in the middle of the night to go to my computer to work on. There was a press conference. I was like, oh my gosh, have they found her? No. It was a plea from the family, again, for someone to speak up. Someone knows something, and they're just asking, why hasn't the police department, why aren't they talking to us? They haven't talked to us since February of 2024, and it just broke my heart. Why? Because I've been speaking to the police department also. And the last time that I spoke to the detective, he told me, you're not the only one who has called in about this man, and I'm not going to say that he is a person of interest. Just give me enough to get a warrant. I have files, lots of files, that of documentation, of information. This isn't just a psychic case for me. I was actually called by a dog handler to look into this case while I was on vacation, but I was also asked to come and help search. So this case was different for me. And before my father died, we talked about not only this little girl, but about my other cases. And my dad said, why can't they just tell you what happened to them? And I said, I don't know, Daddy. You know you're going to die. Please go up there and help me. And after he passed, I had a reading. And my dad said, maybe the attorney that is going to help defend the person who did it hasn't graduated yet. That really helped me. And everyone has to play their part is another thing that he said. You play your part. The missing play their part. The family plays their part. Everyone has to play their part. But the other thing that he did was he gave me the tools that I needed. So for the next several years, I started helping other mediums who had this gift, teaching them how to do this work. And when they got to a point, I would ask them, hey, would you be interested in helping me on a case that I've been working on? And they'd either just say, give me a picture or a name. No other information. I didn't have any information. I was always given a picture, nothing else. I never wanted anything else. And it was always the same. What happened to her? Who took her? What they look like? That kind of a thing. So one, you can be like, wow, okay. But when you've got more than 5, it's not a coincidence. Never. So I would share this each time with the police department. Look, I've got a new student. Look what I have. No, nothing. Can't take what a psychic has to say. Doesn't matter if it's more than one. So over the years, more information following all of this. And it wasn't until this audiobook, I felt things were different. Just felt this time was different. And what was different? Well, I have a student. I have 2, several, many. One's a remote viewer, and I told her this was going to be very difficult for you. I want to warn you about that. And she actually goes and sees what happened. And it was difficult. The next time, on Friday, just this past Friday, I have another student who does drawings. And so Spirit told me, why don't you see if you can draw who did this? And it was after her practice readings. And I had completely forgot about it. I had gone to lunch with my assistant, Caitlin, and I got a ding on my phone. And she said, this is what I got. And I immediately got full body chills. And so did Caitlin. And I knew right then it matched. And what do I talk about? Match what? So let me take you back to when Lina went missing. And who is Lina? I can tell you she's a very sweet little girl. Imagine just watching your little girl at the dog park at your apartment building. And many people have blamed her parents for her going missing. How many times have you just walked in to get a bottle of water and then come back and you can't see your child. Should you be blamed for walking in and getting a bottle of water? That's what happened. That's what happened to Lina. She vanished that quickly. But there were cameras. There were cameras around that saw her walk away, but they didn't see where she went. So they know what time she went missing. And her parents do not speak English. They are Afghani parents. And from what I know is that the mother called the father and said she's missing. And so they wanted to find out if she had gone to someone else's house. So they did not call 911 right away. And that one detail right there is what a lot of people have used to say that they didn't care, that they should have called 911 right away. But when you have a community that is so tight-knit, you would think that she possibly went to someone else's house. So they wanted to search the apartments to see where is she. And when they couldn't find her, that's when they called 911. And the police came and searched inside the apartments looking for her. So stranger abduction is 1% of all abductions. So if we can look into this and think outside of the box thinking here, if it wasn't her parents, then it had to have been somebody that she knew. And a lot of people are like, well, it had to have been somebody, they had to have sold her daughter. They didn't care. Mom was pregnant. They, didn't want a daughter. If you've seen the father, just cries and cries for the daughter. Why wouldn't he have wanted her? Adorable little girl. If someone knew where all the cameras were at the apartment, they knew exactly where to park to take her. Could that have been a possibility? If somebody lived there, they knew the routine. Could that have been a possibility? Possibly. Can we think outside the box? Possibly. What makes more sense? Someone just came trolling down the road and just happened to pick those apartments that day. I've been to those apartments. You'd have to really be searching for someone to take to have stranger abduction her. This was, I'm feeling premeditated. You have to really look into this to figure out that someone intentionally meant to take her, to have this all make sense. Where this dog park was. You can get lost in these apartments. It's a maze, the parking lot where this vehicle had to have been where they took her. If you turn left, you are driving all the way around those apartment buildings just to get to that apartment, get to that parking space. Not easy. You have to go across bumps, everything. So let's think outside of the box here. If it wasn't the family, then someone knew exactly what they were doing. And they had the time down and how they could take her. How did I get called in? How do psychics get called in to do this work? Does someone just call them and say, hey, can you come help me? Or have they had prior workings with people and they're like, I need your help? Well, that's how I got called in. I worked with the dog handler, not her search team, but the dog handler. I've worked with her on several other cases, and all she does is send me a picture. And I happened to be on vacation. I was in Mexico on a cruise. She didn't want to bother me, but I saw on her Facebook that she was going out on a search, and I messaged her, and I'm like, hey, can I help you? She's like, I didn't want to bother you. I said, doing this work, it does not go on vacation. Send me a picture. I'm here for you. And she did. And I immediately gave her information. And then once we got back from our excursion, my daughter was with me. She also has the gift. She was able to give information. And then I gave her more information. Didn't know that they were in apartments. Didn't know anything about this case. Again, I was not in the country at the time. So didn't have internet. So, I was in Mexico and just happened to have internet at the time. And what the little girl gave me, it's amazing what they can give you at that time. So she told me that I just wanted you as my doll, sweet princess. You look like Jasmine. And I said, I'm seeing a heavy-set man, black shirt, black pants, his stomach barely covered from his shirt, not white, but fair-skinned, and ask around if a man fitting that description was seen that day or lives nearby. And then later that day, when I said I gave her more information, I feel he might live nearby. He could be of ethnic origin. He could have black hair. I'm seeing this be a local thing. Like he grabbed her and took her and did everything nearby. So when I came back, I felt I needed to go help search. And I live at least 2 hours away. So a few days later, I got more information. He lives in those apartments. He was watching her long before, waiting for the perfect time. It won't be hard to find him. I can see him so clearly. He's overweight, black clothes, big gut. His shirt barely fits over his belly. I know this shirt fitting over his belly means something. Several weeks later, I went to go and I asked for guidance. Just start yourself at the beginning and work your way through it. He would watch me play. Remember, he thought I was his little Jasmine. Neighbors wondered why he was always in his car. 6 little kids, new to the area. Couldn't get caught again where he lived. Has a family. Can't see his kids. He's a deviant. He will do this again. He needs to be stopped. This was an easy area for him, right off the highway. No supervision. That's hard. It's really hard to get. Really hard to hear. Really hard to know. There's more information in there, but I'm just not willing to give that. The reason I'm speaking out is because at that press conference just last Monday, the family advocate said, someone needs to speak out. I have been speaking out. I have lawfully given all the information to the police. I have lawfully given all the information to the ex-FBI agent that is currently working this case. The last time I gave the information to the ex-FBI agent, he was shocked by everything that I had. He asked me, wait a minute, did you call me a couple months ago? And I said no. And he said, the information that you just gave me was like a call that I got a few months ago. I know that several people over the past several years have called in about this person. This person we met when we went to go search the apartments. We stayed in touch with this person. This person told us several stories about their whereabouts, where they went after Lina disappeared. They inserted themselves into the case. If you go through what criminal profilers say happens after cases, how people insert their case. The dog handler is an ex-police officer. Talked to several people she used to work with. They asked questions. They were told, maybe obsessed with the case, but that's all. The thing that really hits home is when you're given information immediately on a case, you stick with that information. He just wanted me to be his little Jasmine, his little doll. When we were there the first day, searching those apartments with the dog, when I was with the dog handler several weeks after she went disappearing, this person said, I showed them a picture I had on my phone and they didn't seem to care. Who's they? The police department and the FBI. What is that picture? Let me ask you, if you lived in an apartment building, how many of those people had pictures of Lina on their phone that weren't in the Afghan community, that didn't know her? This person did, from a month before she went missing. Apparently they found a phone, and in that picture is little Lina, all dressed in makeup, and she looks like Jasmine from Aladdin, and she is holding an antique doll. Go back to what she said. He just wanted me to be his little Jasmine, his little doll. You go with those clues. The one question that I want to ask, if you ever lived in those apartments, if you knew anything about those cases in the early days, was there ever a car in question? Did the police or FBI ever question people about a vehicle? Because this person told me that they were questioned about a vehicle and then laughed because their vehicle was a similar make and model. So was a silver Tahoe ever asked by anyone in those apartments? That's one of my questions. And then I have to ask, has anyone else's story ever changed about that night or the days after? Did they insert themselves into the case? Did they take pictures? Did they have weird behavior that lived in those apartments? Did it seem weird to anybody? Did you call the police and you never heard anything about that? Those are the people that need to speak out. I'm asking you to speak out because I'm telling you, you're not the only one who noticed it. You're not the only one who had those same thoughts. And it's time, after 1,400 days, that we stop blaming the parents and we start thinking about little Lina. Because the sketch that I'm going to share, you may know this person. Am I saying that he did it? No, I'm not. But what I am saying is it's time to talk. I have tried to talk to numerous people that have lived in those apartments, and people are afraid to talk. I don't know why they're afraid to talk. But if your daughter went missing, would you not want someone to speak up? Would you not want someone to try everything that they can to get someone to listen? Why is this video being done? Because SAPD said, give me enough to get a warrant. Call in. Give them enough to get a warrant. I can tell you that when that student gave me that picture, they said that he's getting scared, that he's going to get caught for this. And I've been feeling that for many years. So let's catch him for this. Is it him? I don't know. But why lie? Why lie about where you were going? Why tell different stories? When I talked to the family advocate just a few days ago, she shared with me another version of stories that didn't go along the timeline that this person had told me. I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's not what he told me. She's like, no, that's exactly what happened. And then this person also said that the family doesn't cry. The family doesn't cry over her. Why would you say that? So also said the family doesn't care about her. It's been almost 4 years. They're still trying to get answers. It looks like the family cares about her. They're not giving up on this. I'm not giving up on this. I haven't given up on this. I haven't gone public about this. I've been given permission to go public on this because no one wants to speak out on this. It's time someone speaks out on this. You don't have to go public. You can send your information to me. You can send it to the ex-FBI agent. You can send it to SAPD. But it's time somebody looks into who took little Lina, because her little legs did not get up and walk out of those apartments and leave herself. She would not have chosen to leave her family. So thank you for listening to the 11 Intuitions podcast. And I hope and pray that this one finds answers.